All right, everyone, my name is Sean. I am a director of corporate outreach for HackUCI. I'm a coach for Major League Hacking, and I'm a GitHub campus expert. And today, I'm here to teach you how to start creating inclusive communities and how to introduce inclusivity into your own. So let's go over some of the learning goals. By the end of the talk, you should be able to understand what it means for a space to be inclusive, have learned some tips and tricks for making events inclusive, and have learned how to, and have analyzed potential exclusive areas of your own community so you can go back home and work on them. So with that said, let's get started. So what is the first way to incorporate inclusivity into your community is to design for the margins. But what does designing for the margins really mean? Well, it actually means that you're training your brain to design outside of your own experiences. So just because you don't use or need something does not mean that someone else does not use or need it either, right? So examples of designing for the margins is starting your events in the day. Maybe you start all of your events at night and on campus, like HackUCI does with our workshops, right? That just means that you're inherently blocking off all of the people who commute, who can't make it to your events, and all the people with families and stuff that they have to do after school. So you only have a very small subset of people that are actually going to your events, right? But if you open it up to everybody, that just invites so much change and so much like new creative thinking and ideas that you wouldn't get normally. The second thing is to empathize with community members. So like I just said, maybe you don't need something, but someone else does. So it's important to understand all the different community members that you're dealing with and understand their different experiences and needs. And the third thing, and probably the biggest thing, is clearly labeled food options for different dietary restrictions. That is one of the biggest things you could do because it helps people feel comfortable with what they're eating, and it shows and it allows community members to make informed decisions as well, and to see whether or not it fits their dietary restrictions. For example, here's an image that I pulled off of Google Images, and you can clearly see that something as simple as this just lets people know, hey, this is what's in this pizza, this is what it's made out of, and so I can see whether or not it fits my dietary restriction and have it if it does, and look for something else if it doesn't. The second way you can introduce inclusivity into your community is to be aware of the difference between intent and impact. So what's the difference? Intent is how you want to be understood, right? But impact is how you were actually understood. So you can say something with good intentions, but still have a negative impact to someone, right? And in this situation, the best thing you could do is just say that you're sorry. Because at the end of the day, something that you said or something that was said had still had a negative impact on that other person, and you could just try to work on it, right? And the third way you could do it is by boosting up accessibility for everybody. So great examples of this are closed captioning for visual content, right? Closed captioning is something that helps everyone, not just the hearing impaired. So if you have visual content that you're promoting within your community or like a little Facebook video, try to add the captions. It is more work, but the value is way better. And you won't realize it, but other people will thank you for it. Second thing would be having feminine hygiene products in the appropriate restrooms. Life happens and it's important to have some of these things available. And the third thing would be screen recording and publishing out your content. I mean, we're all community organizers. We all have this power. Why not use it? Why not do something, one extra step? We already came up with the slides. We already came up with the content. Just publish it for those that can't make it out to your events, right? And it helps people collaborate and share with each other. And most importantly, you want to acknowledge when you can't accommodate. People change every day and they evolve, and there's no way that you can accommodate for everybody, and that is okay. But you should be upfront and acknowledge it. And at the end of the event, for example, you should ask people what wasn't accommodated, right? And process it amongst your team, and you should make it important, and you should work on it the next event. right? And so the big takeaway here is that if you want to have all the positive aspects of an inclusive community, you really cannot just throw away all the negative aspects. But you can address them and you can work on them. And so to recap what we learned today, we learned how to understand what it means for a space to be inclusive to its community members. We learned some tips and tricks and examples for making events inclusive. And hopefully you've analyzed some places, some exclusive areas of your own community that you can work on when you get home. And just a helpful reminder, measure twice and cut once. You want to be doing these things at the beginning of your event planning process, just because it's so much easier to build your event and your community from the ground up with these inclusive values than it is to just go all the way back to square one and try to incorporate it, days before your event. Right? And so with that said, I just have 4 last words for everybody. GitHub, student, developer, Pact. What is it? It's an amazing free resource for students. Pros and cons, pros, $45,000 worth of software. I kid you not, this thing is one of the best things you can ever do. Contains everything you need for your next project, and it's completely free while you're a student. How great is that? The cons is that only 9 out of 10 dentists recommend it. Yeah, I know, but we are working on the 10th. Right? And so how do I get it? You just go to education.github.com/pact. I swear if you're not using it, you will wish you were using it earlier. It has helped me so much. And with that said, thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me later on. And if you want to see me at your hackathon, all you have to do is just ask for Sean Victory. Thank you.